Hi everyone, Andrea and I are here to share with you how microfiber can do an effective job cleaning up after messy things like chicken. This is for all you skeptics out there who don't believe that microfiber can clean as well as chemicals. We are brought up thinking that chemicals are the only way to clean, and microfiber actually provides you with a safer, cleaner, and healthier option.
So we have some raw chicken here that we're going to show. We have our microfiber cloth, and then we have a protein swab. So protein swabs are typically used in restaurants, and restaurants use this because they're looking for any proteins that are left behind on the counter to make sure that it's clean for when we're eating out. Proteins are important to me because proteins are what caused my son to go into anaphylaxis. So I want to know if there's any proteins left behind, and I did these tests to make sure, or actually I watched a couple of these chicken demos, but then I tested it myself as well because I saw chicken, does it do cheese as well? Because dairy is my son's biggest cause for anaphylaxis. So it did work. So we're going to show you chicken today because typically people are wanting to know if there's any raw meat left on the counter. So the protein swab has 4 different testers on it. So we want the green, and then you have the gray, which is showing some proteins, and then the darker it gets means that it's bad. That means that there's a ton of proteins left behind, which could potentially make us sick. So proteins might not be as important to you because you're not looking to see if there's any proteins left behind that could cause you to be really sick and possibly die like my son. But what's important about proteins is that they're smaller than bacteria, and everybody's worried about getting sick, and bacteria is what causes you to get sick. So I'm going to take the piece of raw chicken, I'm going to put this on the counter, and typically this doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. I know I spill a lot when I cook because I'm just a messy cooker. So I'm going to put that back on the plate. I'm going to take our Envirocloth and I'm going to wipe the counter well. And then I'll put this over here. So here's our raw chicken side. I'm going to take our protein swab and I'm going to test the surface. So there's fluid in here that will tell us. Let's snap it good. There it goes, all in there. So this is going to just take a couple seconds. So
while she's doing that, I just want to speak with you about, so you saw that she folded, the cloth was folded. You folded it in quarters because that gives you 8 cleaning sides. So when you have 8 cleaning sides, that means that you can do 8 very grimy, dirty areas without going to the sink to rinse it, because you do want to rinse it to get off, if you're dusting something or you're doing something like chicken and you have little pieces of stuck chicken on your cloth and stuff, you do want to rinse those ones out. But any bacteria or proteins that are stuck in the cloth will stay in the cloth. Because what makes this special is that the cloth is made with 10 million feet of fiber. So it doesn't look like it. I mean, the cloth is not huge, right? It's 13 by 13. But how they can do that is that the thread is about the size of human hair, cut 1/200th of the size. Not only that, but it's also star-shaped. And what that does is as you're going over the surface, those fibers are rolling together, acting like a vacuum, basically sucking up all the small bacteria and protein, and it keeps it in the cloth. So if it's all in the cloth, it's not on your surfaces. That's a win. But then you're like, well, gross, it's kind of in here. So yes, so then you take it to the sink, and I like to do corner to corner just because it gives me plenty of room to scrub. And I scrub it back and forth and flip it over and scrub it back and forth and run it under hot water. And then as long as it dries, it's ready to go. And the other thing that makes this microfiber stand out from anything else is that it has something called backlock in it, which is a micro silver. So when they're making the cloth and they're making these tiny, tiny thin strands, they are actually embedding it with silver. And the silver works to break down the walls of the proteins and the bacteria and the fungus so that it doesn't grow. So when it dries, it goes through its self-purification process. And then to clean it, so in between things, you're going to want to rinse it with the hot water, but about once a week, or if you do something like a very, very heavy job, a very, very heavy cleaning job, if you do your entire house in one day, you might want to launder it in the washer, and you just want to make sure that you use no soap, no laundry detergent with fillers or dyes, perfumes, because those will actually clog the fibers and inhibit the silver from working. And then what you're just going to have is you're going to be left with a very expensive rag. And the purpose is to, the purpose of Norwex is to clean faster, safer, cleaner, and greener, and just so less laundering, less washing, and really to let Norwex do its job.
So as you can see, this has been sitting now for a little while. It is green. So I am going to take this again. So we, obviously wiped our chicken, right? We cleaned it up. We watched this work. So now we have this sitting here, right? You have a mess here again. So I just used this on raw chicken. I am going to use this again on the counter. So raw chicken side, just use this on the counter. I'm going to take my swab back out. I'm going to swab the counter again. And I'm going to put this in here and we'll shake it up for a second.
Why don't you tell them about the transfer?
So with the way the microfiber works is it pulls it up into the cloth and now it's in those fibers. So the fibers are holding onto it. So that's why it doesn't transfer back to the surface. So really you could go and clean your toilet seat and then clean your counters. I don't know anybody who does that. You could technically, usually after doing any heavy soiled stuff. So I'll do a big clean on my bathroom and then I take all of my Norwex and then I'll launder it. So again, you have green. So it does not transfer. So you can use the same cloth even without rinsing it off. Just like Beth said, if there's chunks in there, you obviously want to rinse any chunks in because the chunks will then transfer, not the cloth. So let's just see with just doing, I'm going to do this plate and you're going to see, I mean, it's already turning purple.
And the chicken's purple.
And the chicken's purple. So I'm shaking it up. I mean, there it is. The proteins are there. So you can see clearly that this is not transferring. It's doing its job. It's going to make everything clean. And if you're using it correctly, cleaning it correctly, you will have a cloth that lasts you years. It does have a 2-year warranty on it, which is great, but it will last you years if you take care of it properly. So I'll just show you the purple. And
so we just want to say thank you, and I hope this eases any of your concerns, and just know that Norwex is doing its job. We thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Thank you.